Gold was stuck in a consolidation all week, and because of this, a lot of traders lost money because they were unable to read the price action within the consolidation. But I and my community were able to make money from this move because we understand how to read market structure even in a consolidation. In this video, I'm going to be doing the breakdown of all the trades, how we're able to take more than 2 TPs from gold and also on GU. I'm going to be doing an intense breakdown so you guys can also learn from this and be able to implement it into your strategy. In case you don't know who I am, my name is David and I've been trading for the past 5 years and I've had several payouts across different prop firms in the industry. And recently I launched my academy where I teach people and mentor people how to trade, how to read market from my point of view, and how to see things other people don't see in the market due to experience. So if you're interested in learning more about how to trade or how I trade, make sure to comment below or send me a DM on IG. Without further ado, let's get into the video. We're live on the chat. So I'm going to be starting the breakdown on gold, and this week I was mostly focusing on the 15 minutes because if you go to all the time frame, everything just looks super messy because the market has been consolidating. So if I'm to read market structure over here for you, it's just pretty simple. So this is the, let's just start from here. This is the low, this is the high, this is the low, this is the high, and this is the low, right? So price broke this low, which is BOS1, created a pullback, and then BOS2 happened over here. If you notice, the candle actually closed below here, right? This I would call confirmed normally with my students, but you can just call this BOS2. So over here, this was the last lower high, and that price created a, well, broke it, created a pullback. Then over here, I think this candle actually closed above, so price broke it. So currently we're looking for bullish because price created a pullback and then broke the structure, right? From the way I read structure. If I'm to show you what I just explained over here real quick, so what I see is market is going up, right? Then price breaks this low, creates a pullback, then breaks this low. Once it breaks this low, now I'm technically bearish. But for some people, normally once price breaks this low, they're already looking for sells over here. But that's not the way I read structure personally. So that's my unique way of reading structure. Okay, so BOS1 over here creates a pullback, then BOS2 over here, then we'll start looking for sales. Okay, so over here, if you notice, there was BOS1, then quite created a pullback, then there was a BOS2 over here, which means we're technically bullish. Okay, so technically this is the last higher low, right, since we're bullish. So over here, if you notice, price broke this low, which is BOS1 again. We're going to keep going, BOS1, and then over here price created a pullback, which is all of these zones over here. Pullback, then price broke structure over here, which is, this is the lowest point. Price broke structure here, which technically means now we're looking for sales. Okay, you have to actually go like this in order for you to restructure properly, especially in a consolidation, because the market is just going range by range, but same time it's creating market structure. Okay, so over here, if you notice, now we're currently bearish, right? Over here, this was the last lower high. Price broke structure over here, which is BOS1, then create a pullback over here, then technically now we are bullish. Okay, so the first trade I had was on Tuesday, which actually didn't work. Well, it went to 1-to-1, then it reversed on me. So my structural point, my point of interest, the point of interest I was looking at, the first one was over here, which was this demand zone, but price never respected it, so I didn't get nothing from here. But then I was looking at this gap over here, which I would call gap over here. I was looking at that and price actually came there. When I saw it, I just went straight to the 1 minute because when I'm on the 15 minutes, I tend to use the 1 minute to get a confirmation entry. So if I'm to take you there, give me a sec. Okay, this was, okay, 1 sec. So over here, this was the trade I just talked about on the 15 minutes. What happened was when price came in, it started to create a new structural point, which is literally my confirmation, right? So over here, this is a low, this is a high, this is a low. Immediately price breaks this high, I'm looking for buys. So what happened here, price did that and I got a confirmation and I got into the trade, but price went to 1-to-1ish. Immediately it happened, it started to pull back. I was actually looking at the scaling from here, but I didn't take it. I was just focusing on this one mainly. So over here, I was in for a while, then price just keep ranging. I think I closed somewhere here when I saw this break of this highs. I closed somewhere here, then I saw that price started to consolidate a little bit. The price was consolidating. I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna hold this trade anymore. So I just closed, and then later on, price actually came to stop loss. which is part of it. So technically this would have been a stop loss, but I closed due to experience, and what I was seeing the market was doing was actually just rejecting in this gap over here, which you could technically call a fair value gap. Price was rejecting over there, so I closed at roughly around 1 to 1. That's why I actually add this over there. So on when was this? Yeah, this was on Thursday. So on Tuesday I had this trade. On Wednesday, market was just playing around. I didn't get nothing. But within structure, I was able to catch this on Thursday. So over here, what I could tell you is price broke structure, BOS1. It created a pullback over here, then broke structure the second time, which means we're technically bearish. Okay, so what I saw on Tuesday, well, no, Wednesday when I came into the chart, but I didn't get a setup over here was 1 sec. So this was the last high, this is the low, fake out over here, which is BOS1, created a pullback, then broke structure over here, which is BOS2. Okay, so now this is the lowest point. Price created a pullback, broke structure 1, BOS1 for the bullish side. Okay, created a pullback. This was the low. I think it never broke this side. That's why I was looking for sales still, because it faked out but never confirmed BOS1 but never created BOS2. Okay, so over here, this is the highest point. And then I saw this trend line actually, which was going down. I don't trade trend lines the way you all trade trend lines. I trade it a little bit different. I use it as clarity to understand a little bit of where market could potentially reject from, going with my initial points of interest, if that makes sense. When price broke structure over here, technically we had a supply zone over here, but this supply actually failed, and then price went for this internal one over here, which was technically a supply zone, right? But not the main one, but an internal version. Okay, so what I noticed was on Wednesday morning, price tapped into this, which became origin. So technically origins are zones where price tapped in and starts to create a new structure. I've talked about that so many times anyways. So over here, price tapped into the zone and started to create an internal structure. So this was the structure I was reading in order to catch this trade. So if you notice, this was the tap, creates a low, creates a high, creates a low over here, and then created a high over here. Okay, so on Wednesday, I was actually looking for price to clear this high. Once it cleared this high, I was actually looking for a trade, but price never did that on Wednesday. But on Thursday, what happened was price came for the hit, and then I got my trade over there. So technically, what I was looking for grading structure internally was this. Right, this was the last lower low, lower high price created before it broke this structure. Okay, so if you notice, this is a low, this is a high, this is a low, and this is the high. So I was looking at this internal supply and demand, internal structure, I just call it that, I'm gonna call it. So once price tapped in, cleared the high on Thursday, I actually went straight to the 1 minute, which is where I get my confirmation from. I did send this to my community, and I actually showed them like, yo, I'm looking for a trade over here. So what happened was price tapped in, low, high, low, high, broke structure over here. Initially, I would have been looking for my entry over here, but due to experience, I know price might actually come for a gap over here. So I moved my entry into the zone. But initially, this would have been my entry without adding any additional confluences. Immediately I got in, price actually started to consolidate for a while, went high, went low, because the market is just ranging. So you just had to give it a little bit of time because the market is ranging. Okay, so if you go to the 5 minutes, it took a while, but price initially started to move, and then it just started to melt. I woke up in the morning, I'm like, yo, gold has been dropping crazy. Both of them went to TP. So technically this one was 1 to 5 and this was 1 to 3. This is my initial entry zone and this was my refined entry zone. Okay, so over here, this trade were actually super beautiful. And on Friday, which is the breakdown I wanted to do also, was when I woke up, I saw that price was actually melting. And which zone could I trade from? Okay, if I go to the 15 minutes, that's where I got my zone from, and I'm just going to show you real quick. So when I woke up, I saw that this melt already happened, and then I used this my tool, which I actually call gap, and my students actually know a lot about it, but I'm not going to share too much information over here. So when I saw that price created this, I was looking at this one, right? Why I'm looking at this one, I'm not going to share that, don't worry. So I was looking at this initial one. If you notice, I actually just reduced it. So it was here before, but I noticed something here, which is what I noticed when I did my analysis, and then I made it over here. So when price came into the zone I was looking at, I just went straight to the 1 minute over here, and then that's where I also got this confirmation from. It's very simple and clear. So price came in. The same confirmation I used for the other one is the same confirmation I used for this one. So price tapped in over here, created a low, created a high. Immediately it broke structure. I was already in. I was just here waiting, bro. And this trade was actually very fast. Gold was just melting. I don't know what's happening. I think Donald Trump is doing something or saying something. But last week, I actually, early this month, I actually had a strong bias of the dollar becoming very strong. I actually shared that with my community also. I told them, like, yo, I think the dollar is going to rise a lot. But sadly, USHEF didn't give me anything. But GU actually gave me a trade on, let's see, on Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, everything was just playing around, melting, doing what I wanted it to do, but it wasn't just giving me a trade, which is absolutely fine. It's all part of the process, my bro. So over here, I was looking at this on Friday. So what happened was, when I woke up in the morning, I saw that everything was set, and I started trading from 9 a.m. as I've mentioned many times. So once price tapped into my supply zone over here, I just went straight to the 1 minute. I already saw that, yo, it's very, very clear that we're bearish and price is just melting. So once price created this new demand and supply zone, I went straight to the 1 minute. My confirmation is literally the same for all pairs. It doesn't matter what pair I trade. If I'm trading the 15 minutes, I always go to the 1 minute to get my confirmation. And if I'm trading the 1 hour, I always go to the 5 minutes to get my confirmation. So over here, price came into my supply after all the requirements were made, structure, everything was solid. It broke this low and then boom, came back into my entry, and I was in this trade literally. I held it to this low, which gave me around 1 to 5-ish. Normally I'll go for 1 to 3 over here, but I saw the potential. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna hold this trade. So I held this trade over to this low, which gave me a beautiful 1 to 5. To summarize everything I just talked about in this video, you need to understand structure, you need to understand your point of interest, and you need to understand your confirmation entry. So once you have 3 of these things, you're solid. You can take any trade and you can trade any pair. Last week I was actually trading Bitcoin, but I didn't make a video on it because I actually made a vlog. So if you've not checked it out, please check out my blog from Malta. Anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this breakdown and you actually learned something from it. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe and become part of the family. Like this video, share with a friend. Thank you for watching this one. See you guys in the next one. Bless.